In this episode of the Project Management Podcast, we discover strategies for curating a knowledge management culture in your business environment and how to develop knowledge management project teams.
Hello and welcome to the Project Management Podcast at pm-podcast.com. I'm Cornelius Fichtner. We are coming to you live from the superb 2018 PMI Global Conference in Los Angeles. And with me right now is Benjamin Agnacho. Good afternoon, Benjamin. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Cornelius. I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah. So you already gave your presentation this morning.
Yes.
On knowledge management. How did it go? How many people did attend?
Hundreds of people. It was intriguing and people were very impressed with the presentation and the delivery, the content, the richness of the content. I had so many people who were coming to take pictures with me. They made me celebrity at the end of the presentation. But it was a very relevant subject that is rarely discussed.
Yeah.
It's a part of the strategic PMI triangle. Is purely 100% strategic.
Yeah.
So many people don't have very little information about knowledge management. So those who came were very impressed.
Why do you think it is very rarely discussed?
Yeah, because it's one of those subjects that is all over the place. And people whom you think know about it have no knowledge or very little. One of the illustration is I met with a group of executives to talk to them about knowledge management. One of them said, please forgive my ignorance. Is knowledge management not succession planning? I told him, say, it is like asking somebody, is work breakdown structure, not knowledge, not project management.
Yeah, okay.
So knowledge management, succession plan is just a tool and a very little tool in the whole picture. And knowledge management is vast. It has different components, techniques. It is bigger than just a succession planning. Succession planning is one of the tools, but it goes beyond that.
So if you had to summarize it to give us a definition of what knowledge management is, how would you define it?
Knowledge management is, according to many definitions, it has to be the ability to is a program. If I look at it as a program that incorporates knowledge sharing, knowledge codification, and knowledge management. Okay, so in other words, knowledge management is the concept of articulating the knowledge asset of an organization and how to transfer that knowledge from the heart, from the hand of one employee to other employees. Mm-hmm. And having fun doing it and curating new knowledge.
So this is beyond just project management. That encompasses the whole organization.
So talks about codification of the knowledge. It's one element. You have two different components of knowledge management, tacit knowledge and explicit knowledge. Mm-hmm. Most of the time when we talk about knowledge management, what people concentrate is on the explicit knowledge. The one you codify. But a bigger percentage, about 95%, is tacit knowledge. Tips, techniques, how people do things, achieve results.
Knowing how things work in our company.
Experience. Yeah. Skills. There are skills you can codify. How people maneuver their ways and get the job done that you can really document. Those are very big chunk of knowledge management. How do you transfer it from the hands of employees to other employees?
Mm-hmm. How important is knowledge management for us project managers?
Very, very, very important. You see, one of the tools of knowledge management is lessons learned. Mm-hmm. Okay? And lessons learned is a joke. Why is it a joke? Because thank God for PMBOK 6. PMBOK 5, project managers, when we finish the project, we do lessons learned. But knowledge management actually is in line with PMBOK 6, where managed knowledge is one of the knowledge tools. One of the two processes is
knowledge management.
Managed knowledge.
Yes.
Okay. And it makes lessons learned as a living activity, progressive activity. So it is not what you do at the end of the life cycle of the project, but something that you do throughout the iteration. So when you discover a new knowledge, you learn a new knowledge, you revise it, you implement it in the project, and people learn it. One community of practice in my organization, where they are so unique is that if they are doing their project, maybe in the planning phase of the project, they learn some new knowledge, they update their standard operating procedure right there and include it and send email to all their team that, hey, there's a new way to do this. Henceforth, the standard operating procedure had changed. So this is that's what knowledge lessons learned should be. You implement those new things you learned and utilize them and create new knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Until the moment comes where you look at it and you go, that old rule that we have in our standard operating procedures is now also outdated. We have to remove it again.
Yes.
Right? So adding knowledge and removing knowledge, I think, is also an important thing to do. Earlier on, you mentioned explicit knowledge and tacit knowledge. Can you give us sort of the definition of what the difference is between the two?
Explicit knowledge, a knowledge that you can codify, you can write it. Mm-hmm. How do you run a computer? You can write, you do XYZ to do certain task. Most tasks you can, but there are some tasks you cannot codify them.
Yeah.
Why are you so good at customer service? If there's pants on fire, customer is shouting, screaming, they call you, you calm him down. Can you write down what you do to calm them down? No, you can't. These are skills. These are tacit knowledge, the ability, leadership, for instance, the ability to do. There are certain tips, certain skills that we exercise in managing project that we can codify. People skills, some soft skills, those things you can't codify them. The difference between tacit and explicit knowledge is that while you can codify one, explicit, tacit is hard. You can, but it's hard. And sometimes when you codify tacit knowledge, if 10 people read it, they give it 10 different interpretations. So it makes it complicated. Mm-hmm. And I work in an organization where I work. I went to a particular division talking to them about knowledge management. They said, Ben, this is going to get us into trouble. Some of the things we do it so well. If we codify them, when auditors come, they say, oh, because, and he was all sincere, said, this is a dynamic organization. And what we do changes as things evolve, it changes. So if we document them, and we are audited, they say, oh, what you are doing here is not what you documented that you're going to do. And true. And we work in a government environment where we are under microscopic scrutiny, and every information is accessible to the public. So you say it can be business secret. The public can, through open record request, anybody can request. So when you codify some things, you can be sure somebody can ask for it and get it. So these are the complications. How do you strike a balance? So that is why through the knowledge management program, there are ways to transfer this knowledge that are hard, that are tacit, without codifying them.
Without codifying
Sure,
them.
Of course.
So it's understood. Explicit knowledge can be codified. You can write it down. Mm-hmm. These are the 10 steps you have to do.
Yes.
But how then do you transfer the tacit knowledge without codifying?
That's one of the complexity. That's where the rubber meets the road. I am the president of Austin chapter, 3,200 member project management chapter. As a personal principle, I believe that the test of success is succession. Mm-hmm. And at the time passed, even when I took over, I didn't have any kind of orientation. You on your own, just read the manual and all that. I have to learn things by myself. And not to blame anybody, but it's the system. We have a system that is designed that you got to learn things yourself. So when I came, we had very ambitious ventures. We've taken the chapter to an entirely new level. And I knew that if I don't have somebody who can take it to a newer level, a higher level than where I am, I will be a failure. I look at it this way. The text of success, if I want somebody to succeed, if I want to succeed, I want to have somebody who knows what I know and knows better, who can take it to the next level. What did I do? The president-elect, if I step aside right now as I'm talking to you, she will run the chapter efficiently because she knows everything I know. There are many things I didn't have to tell her. She just had to observe and see what I do. Yeah.
Yes. That is tacit knowledge.
I am calling on Region 6 meeting. I say, hey, you got to call in on Region 6 meeting. That's all. She calls in. She hears what is discussed. She is there. I am going to bring John Maxwell. I copy her in the email. When John Maxwell is going to talk to me, I say, you got to be on the phone and listen to John Maxwell talk to me. She was on the phone. I want the governor to come and speak. When the governor's secretary was talking, she was in it. I didn't have to tell her. She's just observing. This is tacit knowledge, because I couldn't write and, if you want to get the governor to come and speak in your chapter, you do X, Y, Z. It's not going to work. She worked with, it's some people, some of the important dignitaries we want to bring to speak to the chapter to provide value. Some of them, it may take 6 months to reach them. And I could say, well, if you call them, you got to be patient till 6 months. No, she watches me and why are they not calling back? Say, watch out. They're going to call back. We keep pushing till we begin to get results. So tacit knowledge is something that, you have to observe. You have to be in the picture. You have to participate in the process to learn it. If you work with wise people, you're likely going to be wise. And if you work with fools, you're likely going to be a foolish man.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So PMI has put managed knowledge into the PMBOK guide, putting it into the forefront of our minds because, many project managers must follow the PMBOK guide. So what are some other trends that you have seen in regards to knowledge management? What is currently out there that we have to think about?
Well, when it comes to the trends in knowledge management, you have the more emphasis on artificial intelligence, the more emphasis on collaboration. The generation, talk about the generation, the millennial generation and the younger generations, they are not inclined to reading manuals and reading standard operating procedure. They are more inclined to technology, applications. So that's where the pendulum is swinging. People want to interact through social setting. They learn. And statistics has it that 67% of us learn through person to person rather than reading manual. So it is pretty simple. But the younger generation, they don't learn. They learn through technology. So transferring knowledge is more effective through personal interaction, collaboration. You see some software applications, right? So many of them are popping up everywhere. Knowledge management tools. You get into your job, the first day of job, boom, there are pop-ups on your window telling you, hey, if you need to know this is what you do. You are planning a project, immediately you start messing with the charter and the pop-ups are popping. Hey, if you are doing charter, how about you consider this? There's already a project that looks like this done 2 years ago. How about you consider XYZ? Those things are tools and you learn so quick because it's easy. The user interface and all that are becoming so simple and, it makes it easier to share and transfer knowledge. So give you some of the trends. I know artificial intelligence is one of it. I know collaboration and new media. I know exit interview is one of it. Exit interview, is one of it. And, use of new media wiki. In my organization, what I'd hate with perfect hatred is to reinvent the wheel. So when I try to manage a project, I want to know if somebody has managed a similar project before so that I don't have to reinvent the wheel.
I call that question zero. Yeah. That's the first question I ask. Who has done this before? Yeah. And if I don't know, who knows somebody who has done this before until I find someone?
That's basically what I do. So I'm managing this project to create an enterprise-wide Wikipedia. I said, probably there's somebody, agency where you have about more than 40 divisions and districts. So I began to reach out. Who has Wikipedia? Sure enough, there are 2 divisions already who are using Wikipedia. I met them, say, okay, why are you using Wikipedia? Well, we tried this standard operating procedure. It's not working for us. Nobody's reading it. So we imported all the content to Wikipedia. And gee, everyone is responding to the Wikipedia. Every day, people are assessing the information. They are making contribution, new findings, and people are learning. And it is an active tool. Collaborative. Unlike the dead standard operating procedure that is in the
somewhere in the file system,
in the file system, dies there forever or outdated. So you can see that that's where the pendulum is swinging. If it's Wikipedia, you look for something, look for somebody, look for a tool or a technique or how to perform a task. You can go there and you'll be able to see whom to call, who to contact. We have right now a community of practice that is doing what I call knowledge audit. And that knowledge audit is very key. As the name goes, what they're doing, they are trying to conduct an audit to see all the gaps within that community, all the knowledge that is contained in that community. If you have 100 surveyors, it doesn't mean there are different skills beyond surveying. There are different skills they bring in. So they are outlining, listing out all the skill, all the knowledge that is within that community, capabilities, skills, and they are listing their names. So if you look for any skill or any technique, you can go there without wasting a lot of time. You can see exactly somebody who holds that very skill that you need, and you can contact him, has his phone number, his access number, see what he has done before in that very area. It's pretty cool. In our organization, 12,000 employees, it will be difficult to begin to call. Whom do I call from one person to another? So that's what my knowledge management does, is to synthesize the information. Makes it easier for you to get it at the tip of your fingernail, rather than being thrown into an ocean of data and information.
So knowledge management at its core is then an organizational task. So the whole organization has to do it, right? How does that now affect us in our projects?
Yeah, well, it affects us in our project because one, knowledge management is a project. For you to establish a knowledge management in your organization, it has to be a project that has all the elements of a project. Before it becomes a program, because it's supposed to be a program, it starts with a project. So when you establish the project, finish the project, then when it comes to our profession as project managers, in my opinion, PMI is smart to identify that knowledge management is where the pendulum is swinging. That's why I believe they've added it as a process. So we have so many knowledge. We are an aging organization. I was sharing with the class the session, at the workshop. I asked them, how do you, in PMI, about 50, how many percentage, there's a percentage, statistics that I gave about the percentage of people who attended last year's PMI. In my organization, there is a group that is called surveyors. It's a community of practice. This group, an average surveyor is 65 years old. An average surveyor, 65 years old. So the question is, what does that tell you? They are aging, they are getting out of the door. So when you look at the PMI, your question is how this affects us. It affects us because if we do not transfer the knowledge to younger generation, we will become irrelevant. Project management will completely cease to exist. So the group I lead, I'm so thankful that in my board, majority of folks in my board are young people. That's why we're able to achieve so much. If it were not that I have anything problem with people of my age and people who are older than me, but those people are malleable. There is so much agility working in the environment where you have younger people than people who have done things the same way for the past 40, 50 years. They don't want to change. So, however you look at it, older people who are more skilled should be able to mentor, to be able to transfer knowledge to younger people and have fun doing that. So in project management, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. Already you have organizational process asset. which is where we begin. One of the input when you are trying to develop your charter, one of the inputs is organizational process asset. What is that talking about? It means before you start a project, dig around, see what has happened already. Don't reinvent the wheel, because some of us feel it makes us look smarter by reinventing the wheel. It's stupid, in my opinion. So who has done that? What has done before? What mistakes did they stumble into before? What improvement? I'm not saying that you can replicate what has been done before, because almost every project I have managed, there is none that look alike. They are all different, even if they look alike, but there are similarities. There are lessons you can learn from previous projects. So if you don't have that knowledge, we're going to reinvent the wheel. Does that make any sense? Mm-hmm. So in our profession as project managers, we handle projects, we handle complexities. And the more you manage projects, the more you gain more knowledge, the more you gain more experience and skill in managing people. For instance, managing stakeholders. There are skills I've learned in managing projects that I learned them because I was able to manage a couple of projects. Those are knowledge. And I'm going with them. Nobody except that I like to share this knowledge with people so that they don't have to go through the same process to learn them. They don't have to manage X number of projects to learn them. So in our profession, we need people who have the knowledge to freely share it. And those who don't should be willing to learn from it. Mm-hmm. And we should create an environment where sharing the knowledge is robust and fun. And where people in my organization, I told people that we need to incentivize people to share knowledge, because everybody sees their knowledge as their job security. So, but for me, there are two tweets, PMI at the event, they tweeted about me. I said, hey, if you need my job, take it. I tell you everything I know, because that's the lowest place I want to be, is where I am today. I'm not like those people who want to stay in the same place forever. So where I am, the job I'm doing now, the skill, the position is the least I want to be this year. Next year, I want to get to the next level. So if you want to take this one, please take it. And I tell you everything I know.
So
I am
you
not
can
afraid.
move on.
So that I can move on.
Yeah. But, I think you're exceptional in that way, because not everybody thinks that way. Many people think I'm in my little garden here. I know what is mine. I understand what I'm doing here. I'm going to make sure that, I am king of my environment. So that takes a lot of organizational change in people's minds to think about it in this way. So to me, this almost sounds like a knowledge management program that is bigger than the organization almost. Who owns such a program? Is it the PMO?
What beautiful question. Boy, this is the best of it, because in my organization, the problem is because I interface with multiple organizations that have knowledge management. And this is what I have found out. Some organizations identify knowledge management as an organizational strategy. So they have an office, a division dedicated towards an enterprise knowledge management. I found out some others have knowledge management embedded in their human resources. Okay. For me, I think it's flawed, because it limits it to just the human component of knowledge management. There are three components. You have the people element, you have the technology element, you have the process component. So, and there are other people who put it in IT. And the danger is when you put it in IT, it becomes just all about technology. And then the people component will be lost. Some IT people don't even talk to you. They just send you email. Yeah, they don't send you an email. So, and that one is lost. Then other people are all process. They miss technology. They write manual, standard operating procedure, process. They leave the technology component. They leave the people component, the interaction, the collaboration, the networking, the knowledge cafe. But it's a mixture of the three that makes a robust knowledge management. In answer to your question, where does it reside? It depends on the organization. In my organization, we have my office, my division is called strategic planning. And my director, who's the director of the strategic planning, and his boss, who is the chief at the chief level of strategy and innovation, sees this as an organizational strategy. So, and that's why we are implementing this program. So we look at it as there. So it's not an office of its own, and we collaborate with human resource who also conduct some knowledge management activities, and also with IT, who is also in information management, also involved in knowledge management activities. So it depends on the organization. Like I said, some organizations, it resides, some people have information science in their, as a division or office in their organization. So knowledge management resides within the information science. So that's what I have found in my research. I found it all over the places. But there are a good number of organizations, like in the military, for instance. Oh my goodness, they have chief of knowledge management, chief or officers. They have well-defined structure, organizational structure for knowledge management. It's not mixed in IT, or it is independent. And I think military people, they got it perfectly well. So DOD, Department of Defense, that's the way it works. Most military establishments, that's the way it works. They have that management different, independent of any other division, and reports to the man on top.
Where do you think knowledge management is going from here?
Well, I don't know where it's going.
If you have a crystal ball and look into it.
A crystal ball, I know that somewhere along the line is going to hit everybody by surprise, because by 2025, when baby boomers leave the workplace, we're going to say, oh,
all that knowledge is going to leave it alone.
Oh my gosh, what happened to us? But some organizations that are pretty smart already are doing a lot about it. But some are still waiting to be in a catch-up mode. But those that are well ahead of the game, they already have the plans in place. Can you imagine? ASHTO is the Association for State Highway Transportation Officials. ASHTO. For the first time, they saw that knowledge management is going to be a good thing. They created a whole committee. I'm a member of the people that helped to design the committee. And that it was inaugurated just this year. So it's better late than never. So you would wonder, why haven't they had it since 20 years? Why didn't they start it 20, 30 years ago, right? Because for the past 20 years, some private sector folks already have knowledge management offices. They are doing something about it. So TRB, Transportation Research Board, also has a task force on knowledge management. So since, I don't know how old is it, I was inducted as a voting member last year. And probably 5-7 years, you wonder, why didn't they think about it 20 years ago? So, but the bottom line is that as the days draw by, people are beginning to wake up to reality, said, oh my gosh, what have we been doing? We're going to do something about it. There's an urgency. There's an urgency for transferring knowledge, sharing knowledge, because the tools that brought us here can't keep us.
In your presentation this morning, what was a question that the audience asked you?
Well, some of those questions are like, what's the best software, or the best strategy? Or
you have a slide with 20 software listed on it. Yes.
Listed. And people ask questions like, which of the tools will be your most preferable? It's not like every other organization is different. Knowledge management is like eating an elephant.
Yes.
It's one bite at a time.
Yep.
So what I did within my own context is to begin with communities of practice. So identify communities of practice. I did a maturity module. What a community of practice will be within the context of knowledge management at level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, most matured. What will they be? So, and some of the attributes are almost everything that makes the knowledge management environment work. So, that module, I begin to use it to develop communities of practice. When communities of practice, they have a knowledge asset. They have meetings. They have a purpose and vision. They interact. They share knowledge. They transfer knowledge. One community of practice in my organization, if somebody is going to inspect, it is called construction inspectors. I think that's what they are called, construction inspector. I talked to one of the founder of their community of practice. He said, hey, if somebody is inspecting a bridge in the valley of Texas, that's the south of Texas, and he hasn't done that before, and there's another guy at the north of Texas, Wichita Falls, what they do is this. Oh, there's somebody in Wichita Falls who can do that. They tell him, hey, just go spend 2 days with this guy and help him. He goes down and stays with him for 2 days, and he kicks the ball off running. Then he goes back. And the management, nobody's aware of it. It's within their community. So the alternative would be to get hire a consultant, pay him $2 million or something to do that. So what they are doing is not against consultants. They do a great job. But what it does here is that you identify the knowledge within the organization. If there's no community of practice, you will never know that such knowledge exists. So, but through knowledge management, you know the knowledge that exists. You know who has it. You know how you can share it and leverage your skills and get the job done. And everybody wins. So this guy, John, goes from Wichita Falls, goes to McAllen or any of the Harlingen in the south of Texas. Go help him do this. And next time when John in Wichita Falls needs the same assistant, somebody goes from McAllen, go help him. So knowledge is shared. It saves the organization tons of time, save time, cost, money. And by the way, John, who came from Wichita Falls, we feel fulfilled that he's able to help his body get his job done. There's no management hand in it. Nobody said, hey, you go do this. It's within them in their community because they are doing it among themselves. They know each other. That's what community of practice does. You say, no, that's the one I use. It's my preferred tool or technique for knowledge management. Then within that knowledge community of practice, they can incorporate other tools like Wikipedia. The community of practice, they are developing their own Wikipedia, right? They want to inspect bridge, or for instance, they can utilize social media, use FaceTime. There is a particular community of practice when they want to inspect a bridge, they need about 150 engineers. It will be a logistic nightmare to bring 150 engineers in one spot to inspect a bridge. But they do it seamlessly. Put it on Facebook and everybody watches it and comments and debriefs on it. It's so easy as a bag of chips. So when they finish inspecting a bridge, everybody comments, they share what they learned, their mistakes and everything. Everybody is enriched. That is knowledge management, a community of practice. Mm-hmm. So
your presentation ended this morning.
Yes.
People got up and left. What do you hope is the one piece of information, the one nugget of wisdom that they take with them as they leave?
There are tons of them. One thing I established is that knowledge can become obsolete so quickly that you got knowledge, you got to share the knowledge. And there's joy in sharing the knowledge. I told them that if you don't share the knowledge, you lose it. And so those who are there today, like people who came to me say, oh boy, we got to do this in our company. We see the reality. We got to create the environment. We got to incentivize people. We got to put up a program in place. We have to start sharing knowledge. Even PMI, within the PMI circle, we are victim of it because we are aging. When I became president, I realized that we had about 21 past presidents. Only 2 or 3 of them are around. They don't show up anymore. I made it a task that I am going to bring them back. We need their knowledge. When we had a strategic and orientation, our strategic meeting last year, it was the handover meeting, kind of, the orientation. I brought 14 of them back. And it's not as easy as I just said.
I can imagine.
It's like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
I had to, even one of them who is in Japan called in virtually to talk to them to say, you guys are doing awesome thing. Whatever you need, we're going to support you. There were one of them in Florida called in virtually through Skype to talk to them. So what does that mean? So I told them, guys, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. There are things you guys did. I just want to build on that. I don't have the time to reinvent the wheel. So sometimes what we normally do, even in PMI, is to reinvent the wheel over and over and over and over again. I don't think it's pretty smart. So if somebody has done it before, why? That's a good thing about coming to Lean. You see, why do you create a new idea when somebody 10, 100 other chapters around the world are doing the same thing? You develop, improve on it, customize it, make it yours. That's what you do.
All right, Benjamin. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.